Today, we're jumping into The Little Prince, which is, one of the most beloved books of all time. We're going to explore this one single chapter that's just packed with secrets about the prince's tiny home, the hidden dangers that lurk there, and the really deep sadness behind watching 43 sunsets, all in one day.
This question right here, it's the key to everything. It's what our narrator is absolutely dying to know. But the Little Prince? Well, he's a master at dodging questions. So how in the world did the narrator finally piece together the puzzle of where this boy came from?
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our narrator, he's a pilot, and he is stranded. His plane has crashed smack in the middle of the Sahara Desert. He's trying to fix his engine, literally 1,000 miles from anywhere, and he hears this small, serious voice say, "If you please, draw me a sheep." And that pretty much sets the tone for their whole friendship. The Little Prince, he's just full of questions about the pilot's world, but the second you turn a question back on him, he goes completely silent. It's this charming but super frustrating mystery that forces the narrator, and us really, to learn by watching, not by getting straight answers.
So, for days, the narrator is getting absolutely nowhere. But then, it happens. He finally gets his first real clue about the boy's home, and it comes from a simple, innocent comment about his crashed airplane.
And there it is, the breakthrough. The Little Prince looks at the airplane not as a machine that flies, but as something that just fell from the sky, just like he did. This is the very first hint that we're not talking about Earth anymore. The narrator, seeing his chance, jumps on it and asks again, "So which planet are you from?"
Of course, the prince doesn't answer directly. That's just his style. But as he's quietly thinking, it clicks for the narrator. This kid is from another planet, and from the way he talks, it's got to be an impossibly small world, maybe not even bigger than a house.
And this is where one of the book's biggest ideas comes into play: perspective. For us, here on Earth, a sunset is this big event we wait all day for. But for the prince, on a planet so small he can walk around it in minutes, a sunset is something he can see whenever he wants, just by moving his chair. His whole reality is shaped by that tiny scale.
But, life on a tiny planet isn't all cute and convenient. It also comes with some unique and really serious dangers. And this is where we finally figure out why the prince was so fixated on getting a sheep.
The narrator is just completely confused by this. Baobabs are these gigantic trees, some of the biggest in the world. What's one little sheep gonna do? But the prince explains, on his planet, the problem isn't the giant trees, it's the tiny little seedlings they grow from. Think about it. On a huge planet like Earth, baobabs are amazing, majestic things. But now imagine that same tree, with these massive, powerful roots, trying to grow on a world that's no bigger than a house. Yeah, it's a recipe for total disaster.
This drawing really shows you the danger. If you let even one of those baobab seedlings take root and start to grow, its roots will spread out and literally tear the whole planet to pieces. So this isn't just about pulling weeds, it's an existential threat.
So this means the prince has to live by one fundamental rule: discipline. Every single day, without fail, he has to inspect his planet and pull up any baobab seedlings he finds. And the tricky part is, when they're young, they look a lot like rose bushes. It's such a powerful metaphor, right, for dealing with our own little problems before they grow into huge, uncontrollable disasters.
Okay, let's switch gears. We've talked about the dangers of a small planet, but what about its unique comforts? We're about to get to the emotional heart of this chapter, and honestly, one of the most famous moments in the whole book. The Little Prince just casually drops this line on the narrator. "One day, I saw the sunset 43 times. And the narrator's just stunned. How is that even possible? Here on Earth, we're lucky to get one.
The prince explains that for him, sunsets aren't just pretty. They're like a kind of medicine. He says one loves the sunset when one is so sad. And on his little planet, he has a way to get that medicine whenever he needs it.
The way he does it is so simple it's almost childlike, but it's also so profound. His world is so small that he doesn't have to wait for it to turn. To see another sunset, all he has to do is just scoot his chair over a little bit. He can literally summon one of nature's greatest comforts anytime he feels sad.
So, of course, the narrator has to ask the obvious question. On the day of the 43 sunsets, were you so very sad? But the Little Prince, he doesn't answer. And that silence is way more powerful than any yes could ever be. It just leaves us to imagine a sadness so deep that it would take 43 sunsets to soothe it.
So,
After all that, what are we supposed to take away from this amazing chapter? Well, beyond the enchanting story of a boy on a tiny planet, there are some really powerful metaphors here that apply to all of our lives.
What this chapter is really telling us is that we all have our own little planet to take care of. You know, our life, our mind, our relationships. And it's full of baobabs, those little creeping problems or bad habits that if we ignore them can grow and tear everything apart. But our planet also has its sunsets, those small, simple moments of beauty and peace that we can turn to when we feel sad or lost.
And so the book kind of leaves us with this question. This story isn't really about trees on some distant asteroid. It's about the daily discipline of taking responsibility for our own world. So it's worth asking yourself, what are the baobabs in your life that you need to tend to today?